Stephen Baker, thank you for joining me, man.
Oh, we started. Oh, shit.
We have. Been a long time
Thanks for having
coming.
me.
Been a long time coming, this one.
It has. Sorry for missing the last couple of appointments, but now we're here now.
4 or 5.
Better
4
late
or
than-
5 cancellations.
Has it been
I
4 or
think.
5?
I reckon it has been.
All
but that's
my fault.
okay.
All my fault.
Yeah. I think I think it's good that it's taken this long because I've just gotten better, I guess.
Yep.
So the quality of the conversation will hopefully get better.
Oh, that's good. See, I was just trying to help out.
For sure, mate. You've had an interesting life over I think it was 44 years.
44 years, yes.
44 years.
You've done your research, yeah.
What are the factors in your life that you think have helped shape you into the man you are today?
Oh, factors. Recently I've sort of been doing talks on resilience, I think, sort of looking back and sort of learning about my childhood. Always been the shortest kid, the smallest kid in class, growing up. I don't know, having an older brother that never let me win. I suppose I grew up being more resilient than others. It sort of shaped me into who I am today. So just looking back on my past and doing talks on resilience these days and learning off my mum and how I was as a kid, I suppose battling and going through adversity makes you stronger. I suppose looking back, that's probably one thing.
Do you think it's a benefit having a brother that didn't let you win?
100%. I think because I was a basketballer until I was about 14, 15. He was the footballer. He'd play basketball with me, kick my ass at my own sport, which made me furious. Many sleepless nights. I hated losing, but he'd never let me win. And then I'd have a kick of the footy with him. He'd throw me around like a rag doll because I was always way shorter than him. So I think, having an older brother didn't let me win. We loved each other, but both relentless. And I think, having that brother that was bigger made me stronger. When I finally had my growth spurt when I was 14 or 15 and could throw my weight around a little bit, I think I built up that sort of resilience and the use of losing. I think these days, I say in my talks, kids these days sort of get babied through and everyone gets a participation award. Where we didn't have that as a kid. We thought if you didn't come first, you'll last. So, I think having a bigger brother was good for me.
I heard you say that you learned to fall from a young age as well.
Learn to fall?
Learn to fall.
Learn to fall, fail, lose.
Same word, yeah.
Yes, and sort of, as I said, battling that adversity and I didn't have the little man syndrome, but always sort of trying to prove myself, always give 100% effort, I suppose. And I think you only learn from failure, you don't learn from success. So I think I failed a lot when I was younger. My report card always said, A for effort, but I was always an average student, so I'd have a crack, but nearly failed. I think I failed general maths, but I think people need to learn how to fail to sort of move forward and learn from their mistakes.
I didn't even do maths at school.
Didn't do maths?
No.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like it.
Well, I hated it. The teacher gave up on me and they let me sit up the back and draw pictures and I became good at drawing. That's something I talk to kids in. When I do talks at schools is about effort beating talent. You don't have to be the best at everything, but you find something that you're passionate about, maybe cooking steak, something doing podcasts, you get better at it. If you're passionate about something, you don't have to be good at maths or English. Find something that you're good at and work with it and work on it and you get better.
You reference proving people wrong just before. Yeah. Is that something, because I have the same thing as well. And I feel like from a young age, people I'm just trying to think of the right way to put it, but they didn't see me as someone that would go on to achieve anything. Do you think that's the way that potentially teachers and other people in your life thought about you?
I think so. The old teachers were like, you're never going to amount to anything. I remember my French teacher said that. And I suppose with football, I started, I think, under 15s and I got told I'd never make the under 18s competition unless I played for the local team, Colac. And so I wanted to prove sort of people wrong. And as being the little kid, you always sort of want to prove people wrong. And that was sort of one of the driving forces, I suppose, growing up.
Heard you had asthma as well.
Yeah, had asthma, eczema. I'll tell that in the story. When I was a young fella, born, and Mum said I was in hospital for a couple of months. Born a little red tomato, a bit red now, and I get a bit nervous. But asthma, eczema. I remember having an asthma attack on the basketball court one time. I think we were getting beaten in a grand final and hyperventilating and having an asthma attack. But grew up sort of battling adversity, I suppose.
I've written down here, and I'm not actually sure who said it, that you were like a psycho as a kid. And I'm thinking it might have been your brother, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I think Mick told me you rang him up, and I said, don't give away all the bloody things. I will look like a psycho. But, yeah, I think we got caught. We got in a street fight or something. Probably he started it, and we got interviewed by the police. And his quote, I think we got the next day, we're still hungover and still half drunk, I think. But my brother, I think his words, we listened to the police tape and said, yeah, I don't know. It's just, Steve-O had flicked the psycho button and he just went psycho. So that, it would have been Mick that said those words. So he basically threw me under the bus talking to the cops. But
were you like one of those brothers that were like fighting all the time?
I don't think we fought all the time. Yeah, we might have a play wrestle. We had a little soft patch of grass that we called the fighting grass, where we'd go and sort things out. Where I'd never win, but. Yeah, because he was a lot stronger and a lot bigger. If I had to get a good shot in. I remember one time I got this 4 metre long stick and he dared me to hit him, and I just went, fuck you, and wound up and whacked him, and he couldn't believe it. And then I ran off and he was trying to kill me, and I hid behind the pool table and yelled, "Mum, Mum!" So we didn't fight a lot, but when we did, we fought hard. I
heard you did karate.
Yeah, I did a little bit of karate. Dad did Kokushin karate, so he did a little bit of that. So I did a few. I didn't do it for long, I don't think, but always sort of enjoyed the fighting when I was younger.
Mick told me that you were sparring with him one day, your old man, and he came after you, and you did like a backward kick flip. Can you remember that story?
I can remember that. Like Dad was doing karate, and he thought he came home and he was doing all the Ishni Sanchi, and he's showing us all the moves, and I said, Dad, you're fucking weak as a piece. I could get you. And he goes, oh yeah, what's this? And he came after me, and I was running away, and I did a jump kick off the couch and did a back kick and kicked him right in the chin and dropped him. This is before I started karate, so I didn't really know how to control my kicks. So dropped him, and then I think we went to karate the next week.
You talked about control before. Were there other things you think you couldn't control?
I think growing up, Colac, the mean streets of Colac, my brother and I always caught up in a bit of shit. We had a lot of fights growing up. I suppose I was very reactive, but I always sort of seemed to, I like to protect my mates, I suppose, and got caught up in a lot of stuff. But even on the footy field, obviously, I'd get hit and I'd retaliate, or sometimes I'd hit first on the footy field. Got me into a lot of trouble. But I'm not usually the instigator. Sometimes, but not usually. So, but the retaliator always gets caught, don't they?
Can you remember the first time you got introduced to footy?
Footy, I think I played under 9s or something, but then went to basketball. Didn't really enjoy footy, and then come back at under 15s. I tried out for the under 16 basketball Victorian squad. Got down to the final cut, then got cut, and I think it was my brother Mick said, "Mate, you're not good at basketball. You're too short. Let's play. Come and play footy." So I played South Colac and under 15s, under 17s, and then the next year I was playing in a senior premiership with my bro. I think I was 16 or 17. So it was a quick transition, and played well on the grand final day and the seniors, and that's what got me invited to the under 18s in the Falcons to try out for them. So. The bro bringing me across because I was a rough basketballer. I think I got ejected from a few basketball games for fighting. So Mick was like, "You're better off suited to footy." So I got him to thank for starting my footy career.
I remember you saying you thought you had no skills, but you were just determined, and they liked that.
Yeah, well, I think basketball I was pretty skillful because I worked on my skills, but footy, I'd have the occasional kick with my brother just because he loved his footy. But AFL, I was even at South Colac, I couldn't really kick, couldn't really handball that well. The Falcons, I got told that I wasn't going to make the squad when I tried out because of my skills were terrible. And it was just through, I suppose, determination and tackling, and I think Mick Turner told me he was the manager of Falcons. Brian Cordy was the coach, and Mick Turner said, "No, we're not playing this kid. He's not getting in the team." But Brian Cordy, I think we had a practice match, and I had a lot of tackles on the last practice match. They invited me along, said, "You come along, fill in the numbers." I think I had like 15 or 16 tackles, and that got me a spot in the Geelong Falcons. So it was sort of nothing to do with skill. It was more just releasing some anger and chasing people.
That's interesting. Releasing anger. Do you think there was a lot of built-up anger then?
I think so. I don't know. I don't know if it was just competitiveness because, I don't know, growing up, getting beaten all the time. Once I got out there and I got given a job to stop someone, I'd do my best to do it.
It comes back to that question that I asked before. Like, did you use the fact that you thought people, because I sort of described it before as a way that they thought less of you, perhaps like getting doubted.
Yeah.
Did you, and you perhaps not being able to show that, perhaps you thought, let's show it on the footy field that I am, let's just say, better than what they think.
Yeah, I suppose I just, every time I got the chance, I'd have a bit of white line fever. So if I got on the footy field or whatever it was, I just want to have a crack and do my best. So I don't know if it was the adversity growing up and being in the smallest or what it was, but every time I hit the field, I just wanted to prove myself and always wanted to give 100% effort. I knew I wasn't the most skillful, but I'd like the fact that my teammates would trust me and and they rely on me and stuff like that. So
you've referenced the adversity growing up a few times in other conversations as well. Is there anything else that sort of stands out as a, let's just say, memory?
Not particularly. Like I wasn't like bullied as a kid or anything, but I was always just the smallest. And when I do my talks, it's about the smallest and having the big bro. But there's nothing really that stands out. It was just always wanting to prove myself and be part of the gang, I suppose. With and always give effort.
What happened when you made AFL then? Like, was that, I guess, amplified even more just because of the skill level? Yeah,
well, I literally thought I'd last my 2 years contract and that'd be it because of my skills were that low. But I think sort of surrounding yourself with good people, Lenny Hayes became my best mate pretty quickly, and sort of learning from his professionalism. And I said, when I first met him, I thought he was a bit of a nerd. He had a big entourage. He'd won the Morris medal. And I think I was set to tag him in the Falcons, but he got injured or something. And I remember thinking he was a nerd, but then the first training session, it was a practice match, and I just saw him barrel in. I thought, shit, this guy's got something special. And so being good mates with him, early days, but had no aspirations of lasting longer than 2 years. I'm just thinking, shit, I've gone from a timber mill. I've got 2 years of just living the life, being an AFL player. Didn't take footy seriously at all at the start. I missed my first ever training session, which I've mentioned a few times. I didn't take footy seriously, to be honest. I just thought I'd do my 2 years, get a little paycheck, and then back to the Colac timber mill. But turned out a bit better than that.
I have no doubt without Lenny's guidance and friendship, I would not have lasted past my first 2 year contract. He drags people up and makes them better. He would always pull me up if I was doing something wrong, which was most days. And I may not have liked it at the time, but I would never backchat because of the respect I had for him and maybe the fact that he was not often wrong. Lenny would never complain or show that he was in pain. I remember one day when we were 100 points. He had a bandage on his head and there was about 5 seconds left in the game. A 50-50 contest came up and he went in like his life was on the line. This was something he made flow through the team.
Where'd you get that one from?
That was your Instagram.
Oh, on Instagram, yeah. No, it was just, I've told the story I think once before, but I remember if I having a bad game or I'm feeling down, I'd go up and at 3/4 time and I'd touch him. I'd touch him and hold his jumper. Have you got the one written down as well?
No, I just remember saying.
And I remember and I'm not even a spiritual person, but I'd go and hold his jumper while listening to Ross or Grant or talk, and I'm just thinking I'm draining some of Lenny's power because I thought he was that powerful of a player. I just used to think he was Superman. Then I'd go out and I think I've got a bit of Lenny power because I've held on to him for 5 minutes in the break or whatever. So I always thought Lenny was a special man and player.
Is he similar age to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So he was around you, and was it straight away when he came into the club that he was a leader?
Yeah, I think I met him. I think it was the day before he came in with his entourage, and I was sitting with another player and came in. I just thought he's all the nice blow wave haircut, and as I mentioned, I think he was a bit of a nerd. I remember I was talking to Kurt Hazelwood, another draftee, and I remember as Lenny walked off with his entourage and family and manager, and I was like, sounds like a bit of a fuckwit. And we had a bit of a laugh, and then it turned out, 6 months later we're best mates, and as you said, I think without him my career might have only lasted 2 years. So just to see someone come in so professional, and I just respected how he treated people, had a crack, and there was a joke, everyone loves Lenny, and he gives everyone the time of day, so he's a bit of a special human.
The best thing I got after 12 years with the Saints was to end up best mates with this great man. A cut above the rest, even though I did carry him most of his career. Love you, buddy. That was a quote you gave.
What was that in bit? Even though I did carry him.
A cut above the rest, even though I did carry him most of his career.
I must have been carrying him when he played.
Yeah, well, the photo was you carrying him at the end of the...
that's what I think. I was thinking that must have been a joke, yeah.
Love you, buddy. So that was the post you made, I think, when he made the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, yes.
The best thing to come out of the career?
Yeah, well, I think friendships were the best thing. We still catch up, once a year, all the boys. We catch up for a drink pre-Liam, and we still chat all the time. So I think friendships, even though we didn't make or get the grand final, the premiership, I think going through all that adversity and losing grand finals, I think we've got a very pretty tight bond with all the boys, and still all catch up and talk regularly.
I must have been 15 in 2010.
15, and the dreaded draw.
The dreaded draw.
Dreaded draw.
What can you remember about that day?
I remember just looking around after, and I didn't actually know the rules. I thought, are we playing extra time? But then I was like, we mustn't be, because everyone's just hands on head, hands on hips, hands on head. But the next week I remember thinking, I hope people aren't feeling as bad as what I am. I'm looking around the rooms on the Wednesday, the Thursday. Lenny's got 4 ice bags on, and Rui's got his knees strapped up with ice bags, and then I'm just thinking, oh shit, I was hoping that Collingwood were feeling the same, but I think we had a few older players, the game, the draw was just like, we left everything on the park. I know, and I watched the last 5 minutes for the first time a few months ago. It was just happened to be on Foxtel or something, and it was in our 50, and Cozzy was telling me he could have had a mark, and I saw that, and I'm thinking, and it was spoiled, but I just thought, shit, all we need to do was kick a point. But, such is history.
When Goddard got up, I'm just thinking about this now, when he took that mark and he kicked that goal, surely you thought you were on.
Well, that's what you always think. But
that was unbelievable.
Yeah, fuck.
That was unbelievable. Was your old man a big fan of the game?
Yeah, I don't think he's a massive footy fan until I got drafted, and he admitted to my brother and I, he goes, he didn't support my brother as making the footy. He told us when we had a few drinks one night, he said, one night, Mick, you asked if could I play for Carlton one day, and then my dad patted him on the head and said, look, just concentrate on playing for South Colac and making the seniors or whatever. And then Dad, after I got drafted, I think he told us that, and he had a bit of a tear in his eye. He'd never cried. My old man is like, I should have supported you more and give you some more, I suppose, hope, because I think him and Mum were so proud of when I was drafted. They didn't miss a game and loved going to the footy, and sort of couldn't believe that their son was actually playing in the big leagues.
Mick sort of described, and sorry if this is giving away too much, but like you weren't a family that sort of opened up and showed your emotions too much.
No, he told me that you said that yesterday. Yeah. He goes, he asked me about the mental health side of things, and I think we like to hide things. The Baker family was known as a bit of a tough family. So if we ever had a problem, it was sort of bottled in, I suppose. Even when the old man was sick, that was the year I finished footy. He was sick. He had like the oxygen tanks in his nose. I was playing at Craigieburn, and I remember looking over, and in the car he had the things in his nose. He hadn't even told us. Yeah. Hadn't even told us he was sick. He didn't want to say he was sick, and even in hospital he was like, "No, we're fine," and we didn't even know he was on the way out. He didn't want to tell us, and
Is that not a regret? Is that like a? Do you wish he did tell you that he was sick?
Well, we sort of knew after a week or so. The doctors said, "Look, he's going downhill," and we're sort of back. We got called into the Geelong hospital. It's like this could be the last time. So I was driving back from Melbourne. It happened a few times, and this could be the last time you see Dad. I said, "What do you mean?" Like it was just a shock. And then then a week later, you're sort of holding his hand, watching him take his last breath. But he's still to the last day. He didn't admit he was sick. He said, "No, I'll be fine. I'm gonna fine. I'll be fine. I'm getting through this." And so he always had I remember him having a high pain tolerance, and I remember him, never really talking about our problems in the Baker family. But
when he did pass away, because you've referenced a few times that was like a really hard time.
Yeah, I think I lost footy. I got the arse from footy 2011, then 2012 playing Craigieburn, and I was sort of having a bit of fun, letting the hair down a little bit, but missed being around, not the Craigieburn weren't positive people, but being around a team that were on the precipice of winning a premiership. And then in that Craigieburn, I was turned a bit of I was a bit of a party boy already, and then sort of lost the old man sort of mid-season. I think I played. They said, "Oh, you want to play the next week?" And I was like, "Oh shit, I don't know." And played that week, and I think he punched someone or something that week. So obviously, letting a bit of anger out. But looking back, then it just turned into partying every weekend, drugs. Got hooked on the sleeping tablets and the painkillers every weekend. And my sister and I talk about it. We look back and think, shit, we're in probably a darker time. At the time, you think you're having fun, but it was like every Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday, you're sitting around the fire with a few random people you don't even know. So looking back, it sort of knocked us for six for probably years after losing Dad. Yeah.
What are your thoughts when you look back on those days? Is it emotional or?
Yeah, emotional. Like I still get a bit choked up sometimes about it, but looking back, that's just the way we dealt with it. But in the talks I've been doing recently, it's about sharing. Like we'd never shared our problems, and then recently losing a mate in Warne, I sort of look back. What did I do wrong when losing Dad? And that was like I didn't ask for help. Didn't say that I was my depression was in. It was sort of masking problems, I suppose, and drinking, drugs, masking the pain, rather than sharing your pain with someone else, telling someone you're struggling. So learning some lessons from past experience, I suppose.
Do you think that's the main lesson you've had from those two people in your life that are no longer here? Is that the thing you've learned? The main thing is to talk.
I think so. Like, look, even my sister and I, we didn't talk. We'd have a cry about Dad, but we're not as we said, not the family to. I'm struggling kind of thing. It was more, let's have a big night. Looking back, not telling anyone that you're struggling. Even with Warne, I sort of bottled up. For 6-9 months, didn't want to leave home. I got on the painkiller, had an operation, and had access to some painkillers, and I was just on those and sleeping tablets, and then bottling it up, I suppose, and not telling anyone. Obviously my sister's checking in on me. She knew I was struggling, but I didn't talk to my bro Mick, as you mentioned. Bottling it up. So my main message now is if you're struggling, speak up. It is a hard thing to do, especially when you're known as a bit of a tough footy player, and sharing your emotions it is a hard thing to do. But I think it's better than bottling it in. And
lately, if I feel like crap, I'll find something that I really don't want to do and take the first steps to get it done. Lots of stress comes from things you know you should do, but you haven't taken action on. Just taking steps forward, completing an annoying task can relieve a lot of stress. Words from yourself.
Yeah, I suppose like lately I know if I do something hard, even just laborious things like my morning routine, like this morning, I had a big weekend last weekend. I had an event, and then we had a Bakerland Christmas. We had a great night. But then all this week I've just been feeling like shit. But just even though you feel like shit, going through your morning routine, doing something that you don't want to do gets you up mentally. So look back on when sort of losing the old man, I look back, I got through I did a tough mudder race, which was like a 24-hour race, which was brutal. That was a couple of years after losing Dad, but I remember that sort of sparked me, getting through hard things. So recently I've signed up for boxing matches with Brody Holland, and so I love setting a goal. I've got a bit of personality where if I've got a goal and I've got something to strive for, it gets me through. So now, instead of going to the alcohol and the drugs and the misery side of things, I try and use it as fuel. If you're feeling shit, okay, let's do something hard. Go for a cold dip in the ocean, or have a cold shower, or go for a run. My body's getting a bit hacked up now. Like I did an Ironman last year, which was great to get through, but it was more the journey, being around good people. Matty Ferg, he gave me a nudge. I finally put my hand up and said, look, I need some help.
10Ks?
Yeah. So it was I think that was one of the moments that sort of flicked the switch, getting through that. I remember it was New Year's, hanging out with Jackson Warne. It was the first year I hadn't been with Warne for probably over a decade on New Year's, and that was just one of the sort of the lowest points, I think, having the party, getting drunk. I remember crying at midnight and sort of sneaking home and waking up the next day in Sorrento and had a flat tyre, and I'm like, I remember driving home that day thinking, I don't care if a truck hits me. And that's probably the lowest I've been. But Jackson was using his dad's death as a springboard to live happier, healthier. Which I thought, I should be the older brother figure here. So I thought, I'm going to switch my life around, and then put my hand up, said I need help. My mate Matty, he said, let's go for a run, which led to another run and booking in for the Ironman. And then it was like months of just being around positive people and challenging yourself physically, which was help me mentally overcome that time in my life. So yeah, it was a tough start, but now we're here chatting.
Would you describe yourself as an obsessive person?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, if I get something in my brain, I'm probably pretty obsessive.
Does that? I'm just thinking that obviously can be a bad thing.
Yeah, probably obsessive, addictive personality. Like if I get into partying, I party hard. But then if I get into fitness, I think I heard on a podcast the other day, sometimes people that have gone through addiction sometimes have the biggest swing in their lives, and hanging around people lately have had 20 years of addiction. I did an event on the weekend, but now they've totally switched their power, I suppose, into positive things, into health, into helping others. So I'm hoping that's what I'm doing now, is using what I've learned and using that obsessive thing into positive things, being healthy, sharing my, I won't say wisdom, but sharing my what I've learned over the years, how I got through it. Now, it's not for everyone, and just sharing the messages, never giving up, and trying to inspire people to do the same.
What were your thoughts at the lowest point?
I remember some mornings I didn't want to wake up. Like I was just like, cause my life was so good.
So good, did you say?
Yeah, so good. After like Dad passing, I remember saying to Shane one week, it was probably a couple of weeks before he passed, I said, my life's never been this exciting since my dad passed away. We had trips booked, we had golf trips, we had a trip to Queensland, and businesses were all going good. And then sort of have that crashing down. I was like, now my life now is sort of back. But then you've just got to, as I said, you got to snap out of it, think. And gratitude's been a big thing for me. I've still got a loving family, I've still got great friends, I've still got my health. So that's one big thing for me now is gratitude.
This is a tough question to ask, but can you remember getting the call when Shane had passed away?
Well, I woke up, it was my brother woke me up. It was 6 a.m. or something. I was at my mum's house, and I remember him shaking his head, Shane's passed away. And I was like, what? And I looked at my phone, I had something like 60 missed calls, and I remember thinking, this is a nightmare. And I was like trying to go back to sleep, thinking this is a nightmare. And then I opened my eyes, my brother's still there. And then I was like, I started crying, and that was, it was just surreal. I just thought it was a nightmare. And then sitting on the kitchen table, was with my brother and my mum. I was just like, is is this real? Hopefully I'm going to wake up any second now. But then, the realisation sort of just kicked in that going through messages, and I thought, fuck, this is actually real. So it was
When you realised it was real.
Yeah, when I realised it was real, it was just like, I just thought I was going to wake up from a nightmare. So I was,
You can see it's hard, man. Yeah. What were the best things about him?
Just the laughter, I suppose. We caught up. We loved our poker. He got me into golf. And I suppose he'd light up a room. So it was sort of forget how sort of famous he was because I'd hang around so much. But we'd always just laugh about things. And I suppose that's the thing I remember. Him loving his family, and it was just there was always something on the go. There was always something exciting to talk about. And so I think just having a good belly laugh, beating him in poker, beating him on the river was something the boys all loved to do. So he'd invite us around and we'd all try and beat him because he had a bit of a flare up. That was probably my favourite thing. But probably the laughter. You
were both very competitive, it seems.
Well, we were like even golf, poker, anything. So tennis. I remember he gave me because he was good at his tennis, and I played him in one set, and he gave me I think 3 games head start, and he was trying to smash him, and I beat him in the set. I flukily beat him, and then I didn't play him in tennis ever again. He's like, "Come on, play me in tennis, you fucking, you got to rematch me." But any sport, but whether it be tennis, poker, he was super competitive, and I think that's probably what made him a great cricketer. But
I went through his Instagram because it's still there, obviously, and I went down just to see if I could find anything with you and him, and there were a few things, but the one thing I took away from doing that was just how much of a family man he was and how proud he was of his kids. Like, there's so many photos and, stories of his kids.
Yeah, no, that's all he talked about was really his kids, family, what they were doing, what their plans were. Every day when I was with him, he'd be on the phone to every one of his kids if he wasn't with them. So, massive family man.
Do you look back on that time and see similarity between like the dark times getting through his passing to your old man? And do you think your old man's passing anyway assisted you getting back to where you are now, let's just say?
Yeah, I think it was because it was different times. After I'd finished footy, I was sort of into the partying. So I don't know when Shane passed, I was just wanted to lock myself in my room, my house, not talk to anyone. But so it was different. I think I partied hard when Dad passed and sort of used that as a bit of an escape. When Shane passed, it felt like sort of deep depression because I didn't want to talk to anyone, didn't want to be alone, but I didn't want to be with people. So it was a weird feeling. One of my best mates took me to Vegas, and all I did was sit in my room and watch movies. I didn't want to go out, didn't want to socialise. So it was a different feeling, but both, looking back, it's sort of depression, but just dealing it in different ways. And looking back on when Dad passed, when I did that Tough Mudder, that was sort of the switching point when I did something hard, being around good people and sort of snapping out of it. I thought, that's what I need to do. So I've sort of snapped out of it a bit quicker, I suppose.
When did you know you needed to make a change? Because it sounds like you're very incredibly self-aware of the things required for you to do now to actually get to a better point.
Yeah, it was that when I mentioned that New Year's. I remember when I woke up and went home and I woke up and I'd had eczema all over my neck and I'd been locked out of my mate's house for a couple of hours, and then I had the flat tire, and that was when I was driving home thinking. I remember there was a truck coming towards me. I think, I don't care if this truck hits me. I didn't have the thought of hitting the truck, but I remember thinking, if it hits me, I don't give a fuck. And then just thinking on that way home from Sorrento, just driving back, thinking, fuck, what am I doing? What am I doing here? I've got a family that loves me, and I just thought. So it was when I got back, and then I thought I'm just going to flick the switch, say I need help, and that's when I messaged my mate. My mate Matty Ferg, he was doing Ironmans and triathlons and all this stuff, and then he said, let's go for a run together, and then that was sort of the thing that I needed. I was using every excuse under the sun. I had a hip replacement, mate. I'm not going for a run, and I was still, even though I asked for help, I didn't really want to accept it. So he rocked up at my doorstep, and then we went for a run. There was me and another 3 mates, and we ran in the rain, and we were like yelling affirmations at each other. Yeah, fuck this, and we're making up bloody sayings, and that led into I signed up for the half Ironman to start with, and then we had like a weekly thing that would catch up and do something hard once a week, and then I started reading books. Audio books mainly about getting through tough times, and then I got invited to do a talk about battling adversity, and there's only like 15 people or something there, and had no aspirations of I hate public speaking, but did that, and people seemed to enjoy the story, and then I got a few nice messages, and I thought will I continue doing these talks, and that's what I've done. I call my talks GRIT, which is gratitude, resilience, inspiration, and teamwork. So I've sort of just break down my story and what helped me through it, and the main themes are being around good people and being healthy, I suppose.
Do you think it'll ever get easy to tell or easier?
Well, it's never easy. Like I still break down when I talk about it on stage sometimes. Like it's, if I get caught scrolling through videos of Dad or Warne, I was like, I'll have some moments. But like I heard an analogy where grief's just like carrying around a big rock where it can drag you down and drag you into bad places, which is maybe alcohol or drugs, or you can use that sort of weight and turn it into something positive and become stronger, which is what I'm hopefully doing now, sort of using it to, I don't know, share my story and inspire other people not to give up. And through my doing talks, I get a lot of nice messages saying, "Look, thanks for that. I needed to hear that. I'm gonna go for a walk tomorrow because you've shared your story." Or so I love inspiring people. I don't like the public speaking, but inspiring people not to give up is pretty cool.
You also said on the topic of grief, you can only feel, I think it was something about love. You can only experience deep grief if you've experienced deep love.
Yeah, I think I heard that on Instagram. It was like, oh, that sort of makes sense, because obviously everyone loves their parents and stuff, and when you lose your dad or a best mate, it's like at least you've had that opportunity to have a great father or a great mate, and you're experiencing the ultimate depression because you had the ultimate love to start with, I suppose. So I heard on Instagram, I thought, well, it kind of makes sense, where a lot of people don't have the chance to even love someone like that, I suppose. I thought, well, that makes sense. I'm feeling that bad because at least I had the love.
I remember when you were saying you first met him, Shane, and you just couldn't believe it. Like you just couldn't believe that he was showing interest in you.
Yeah, I think it was in the rooms, and I think I did an article in the Herald Sun or something about playing poker, and I played a good game that game. In the morning, he was a St Kilda supporter, and he said, "Baker's going to come round for a game of poker." And I wasn't a cricket fan, but I knew who he was, obviously. And then we exchanged numbers. I think we were on Twitter or something shit back in the day. I don't know what it was. Exchanged numbers, but then all of a sudden we're playing poker, and I love for sort of poker. And got invited to the next game, and became pretty good mates. I think I put in 15 or more years ago.
Did it feel real when you just met him, and you were like I can't imagine, because even I'm sort of going through that phase now with some of the people, including yourself, that I'm meeting. Honestly, you don't need to feel embarrassed or anything by this. It's like it is a weird feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it was like at the start, because I wasn't that much of a cricket fan. I knew he was how famous he was, but then it's not until you sort of obviously go and playing poker at his house, you're with a few close mates, and you're just talking about normal stuff. But then if you go to going out, or you go into the casino, then everyone sort of flocks around him, or you go into an event, the races or something, you're like, holy shit, he's an absolute superstar. So you forget that being a mate when you're just hanging out at his house or whatnot. But then as soon as you go out and you go to Vegas or something, he just gets swamped.
I was going to say that must be the human aspect of a human, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you know, because people probably have this perception of you being like this absolute hard nut, you know, and then you have a face-to-face interaction with you and you're like, you're just normal.
Yeah.
And you got to experience that with him.
Yeah. I've had a few people say that about me. Like Ricky Olderenshaw goes, I thought you'd be a total fuckwit when I met him in Bali. But yeah, Shane was like, yeah, he was just so down to earth. And as you said, a family man. But he treated everyone with respect. When he's out, he's always like signing autographs, taking photos. But it was a bit surreal sometimes when you go out and you'd sort of forget because you'd be behind closed doors playing poker or just hanging out, playing tennis. Yeah, you sort of forget that he's a superstar sometimes because he was just such a normal family man and just a cool guy to be around.
Do you reckon the attention got to him? Like annoying?
Well, I don't think. I think if you get that much attention, it's it's sort of going to wear you down a little bit. But like, as much attention as he's got, like I'd never seen him turn away a photo or an autograph. I remember I was hanging out with Nick Rewalt and he'd go to, I think it's like shit. You get so I think how do you actually put up with that? Like that's why I decided not to be that good a footy player because I didn't want that. I didn't want that attention.
Of course.
Nah, but it was it's pretty. I don't know how people deal with it when they get that famous because get on your nerves, I think, but they handle it well.
I scrolled down to your Instagram and there was a quote or a photo that you put up years ago and it said, overthinking is the biggest cause of unhappiness.
Did I put that down?
You did put that up. Do you see that as accurate now?
Yeah, I suppose. If you overthink, because I think the things you get anxious about, you're overthinking, and you're always trying to think about the future or things that you can't control if you're thinking about them. So I think the other quote you said was, if you things on your mind that you haven't completed that you should complete, that's when the sort of the anxiety or the anxiousness comes in. But so I don't overthink too much. I probably should think a little bit more than I do. But
How does anxiety still impact you today?
Well, I think just the last couple of years, I think I still get a little bit like I'm not going out in crowds now. I used to love going out, and I used to be bit of an extrovert. Now I think I'm a bit more of an introvert.
What do you think? Why?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just what I've been through. Or
I'm experiencing that as well, honestly.
You are, yeah. So I don't know if it was after Shane, but now it's like I say no to a lot more parties, and I don't want to go out. I just I don't know if it might be just getting older and not, but if someone says, "Oh, do you want to go there?" I don't really want to go. I don't. I'll just say no. Where in the past, I was like a yes man, but I don't know if it's anxiety or if it's old age or it's just like, just want to look after yourself. If something's not going to be beneficial for you, just say no.
Was it tiring being a yes man?
It was back in the day, like I was, and I enjoyed being it. I enjoyed being a yes man, I suppose, back in the day. But now it's like, hey, come out for a party. I was like, oh, no, I just can't be bothered.
That's why I said before. It sounds like you're very aware of the actions required, I guess, to keep you in a good state of mind.
Yeah, well, even this week, I had a big weekend on the weekend, which I don't regret it, but I knew this week was going to be tough. It was just like dragging myself out of bed. Sunday was a write-off. Monday, and I postponed a few calls on the Tuesday, and I knew it was, and I still did my morning routine and got through it. But like sometimes you think I'm going to have a good night out with my brother and some best mates. It was a bake, and I wouldn't regret. I'd do the same again, but like in a whole, I say no to a lot more things. Going out, going away for weekends, which because I know I'm going to feel that. Not depression, but just feel shit all week, and instead of fighting through the weekend, you're getting up with a bit more energy, and it's a lot easier to do when you're feeling good.
I reckon there are a lot of overthinkers out there, and a lot of people that, when they're on their own, their head is just spinning.
Yeah.
Are you one of those people?
I think so. Like even yesterday, I was home by myself, and I'm thinking the mate was out doing something. I thought, what am I doing? What should I be doing here? And I overthink, and I should be doing this, and I've always got 1,000 things on my mind. I was like, hang on, just relax, go and do some exercise. I went down to the gym, just try to switch off. But I think if you get too many things on your mind, what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, sometimes it gets in your head. So whenever I'm doing that, I'll just go back to simplicity. Let's look after your health. Concentrate on one thing that you've got to get done. Setting like a daily goal or something, and just bring it back to simplicity, I suppose.
You're looking fit at the moment, mate.
Feeling good at the moment. Feeling good. I'm getting ready for another boxing fight coming up. I don't know who I'm fighting yet, but I like having something to look forward to.
What's your advice for someone that is at a rock bottom moment and you want to tell them the steps to get back to feeling good, let's just say?
Yeah, well, I suppose just taking one step, whether it might be sharing your pain with someone else. Like when I was feeling so totally shit, I messaged my mate. I didn't want to do it. Hey, mate, I'm struggling. Let's catch up for a drink. Sharing your pain, or is the problem shared? Is the problem halved? That's one thing. And there's always one step you can take to get better, whether it's aligning with someone that's been in your situation. Like the talks I've been doing lately, I did an event on the weekend, and it was just talking to people that have been through addiction, 20 years of addiction, living on the streets, homelessness, being in jail. So rock bottom, and I'm just thinking if they can get through that, anyone can get through anything. So I suppose you've just got to take the first step, and a lot of time is that saying that you need help, because no matter how bad situation you're in, you've got to take the first step yourself, and put your hand up and say you're struggling.
When people message you after one of your talks, that must feel good.
It feels good, but I have got to, because I'm not a counsellor. I love inspiring people and I love hearing great messages, but I'd love to help more. I'd love to help more people and give advice, but it is sort of draining talking about mental health and going through it, and but it does feel great. Like there's just a few messages about, hey, I'm in bad depression, but I've gone for my first walk around the block. That was one of my first messages after the first talk I did. I had another mate reach out saying he was thinking about suicide, which I went over and had a coffee with him. So just little things like that make it all worthwhile.
You said something before, draining. Is that just because you're, just say, thinking and going back?
Yeah, well, I think because I'm not, I suppose, talking about your own problems, but then you're hearing everyone else's problems. It's like it compounds. And I'm learning off a lady, Tessa, at the moment. She, here's someone's problem, but then it's all about what's the next steps. You got to take action, because if all you do, you think about your problems, they just compound. But if you think about the actions to get you out of that, try and obviously think positive and think about the ways forward, rather than me. I was dwelling when Warne passed. Poor me, blame excuses. I've had operations. I can't do anything that I used to do. I can't play sport. It was more, what can I do? And that was, I can get up early. I can go for a walk. I can still do some certain things. So it's about concentrating on the positives.
Are there any common traits of people that are struggling that you see?
I don't know. There's so many different stories, but I don't know. Probably self-belief. Like a lot of people think that there's no way out, but there is.
The key to happiness is being grateful for what you've got, not what you've lost or what you could have. I think you said that as well.
Yeah. Well, I think when I was trying to just get my mentality back, I started the audio books. I'd start getting up, going for my morning walks, and instead of listening to music, I'd listen to something like David Goggins or Atomic Habits or things that I've just learnt. So, and gratitude just kept on popping up. I listened to, was it the Resilience Project, and that was all about. Yeah, they're great, and gratitude was just something that just kept on popping up. So I've got a little journal at night. Gratitude's one of the grit strategies, where you write 3 things you're grateful for every night, write it down. Keep your mind positive. I've got a little grit band, where if I catch myself complaining or being negative, I'll switch wrists just to keep my mind positive. I think someone said the other day you have 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, where most of us think negatively. Where if you can sort of train your mind, hey, you think of a negative thought and you think, oh, hang on, my life's this, and then you use gratitude to sort of snap yourself out of that and turn it into a positive.
What are 3 things you go for?
My family, my health, and this podcast, and that steak I just ate.
That was a beautiful steak, wasn't it?
Unbelievable steak, the steak lad.
Resilience is a key component of grit. It's the ability to bounce back from failures, learn from them, and continue moving forward with renewed determination. Quote from yourself.
Geez, where are you getting these from?
It's a lot of homework, mate.
It's a lot of homework. Yeah, well, I think resilience is probably the thing. We've talked about the childhood growing up and failing and getting hit. So that's what I pride myself on, I suppose, these days, is the resilience aspect. And I love having big goals. I mentioned the boxing and the Ironman, but now it's like I'm getting too old. But now I sort of just pride myself on daily routine, doing things I don't want to do. And just working on small goals, I suppose, daily.
Do you focus, or you talked about looking forward to the future? Is that exciting? Or what are your thoughts when you think about the future?
Yeah, well, that's
interesting thought, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. Probably like yourself were talking just before this podcast about everything happened so fast. Yeah. Like I had no aspirations of starting a speaking business. I've written a children's book now, which is about bullying, which that's all happened really fast, which so the future I haven't really thought about too much. Like I've just concentrated on getting better, but now teaming up with some people recently that are all about goal setting and saying, what are your goals for 2025? I was like, shit, I haven't really written goals down, so I'm going to start writing my goals down for 2025, breaking them down, steps I can do to achieve each goal. So I'm going to start getting into my goals. So I always thought, all the good players back in the day, they always did the manifestation and all that kind of stuff.
Do you believe in manifestation?
Well, I'm starting to. Like I think it's late in my life. I remember Nick Rewalt used to write down, I've played I've got best on ground, I've done this, and he writes it in present tense. And the good players seem to do the journaling and that. And I'm thinking, and at the back in the day, I'm thinking, that's a bit of a wank, isn't it? Writing down, you're the best player, but he was one of the best players ever to play the game. And if you're always thinking about positive, you see all the Tony Robbins is talking about, if you're manifest and thinking about the good thing, and you start acting like the person that you want to be, eventually you're going to be that person. So I do believe in it now.
Do you think you're a better person from everything that you've gone through?
I'm trying. I'm definitely definitely better than I was last year. So I think anyone that goes through and battles any adversity, big or small, I think they're going to learn from it and improve. What
are the best traits you think you have? With that in mind.
Determination, loyalty, relentlessness.
I like it. How did relentlessness help you in like every part of your life? Was that an early thing as well, do you think, the relentlessness?
Yeah, I don't know. Like when Mum told me stories about, being the little, and showed me my report cards, and it was always like, it was effort. I got A for effort. And then the other report card was I got C's or D's all the way down. So it was relentless effort, I suppose, with being average. I think that's one of the lessons when I talk to kids at schools is you've got no guarantees of success, but if you don't give 100% effort, you got no chance. You can have talent, but if you don't have 100% effort, you might get there, but if you give 100% effort, you always give yourself the best chance.
You touched on self-belief before. I think that's an interesting topic as well. I said to someone the other day, I have a monstrous belief in myself, but it's something that's sort of been developed over time. And it's not something I've always ever had. Do you think that you have the self-belief in yourself?
Yeah, I think you always get doubts, I suppose, because you have your good days and your bad days. But I think everyone's too hard on themselves. I think if you're getting up each day and you're having a crack, and you look back to where you were a couple of years ago to now, you got to have a bit of pride in yourself, I suppose. And if you're working on yourself and getting better, your belief will grow. Like a lot of people will need to get that trophy to have the belief where if you just look on how far you've come and if you've had improvement since the year before, you should have good self-belief.
When life gets hard, focus on fitness. Lift weights, walk outside, go for a run. Fitness gives you something to focus on other than your problems. Exercise is more for your mental health than physical health.
Yeah, 100%. I think like just listening to a lot of podcasts, even Joe Rogan, like every time I'm feeling like shit, like you're sitting on the couch and you might be doom scrolling on Instagram which I catch myself doing still. Yeah. I'll say, stop this, go for a walk, do a hard session in the gym, and you just realise that your mental state just goes through the roof. So the harder you work out in the gym, the more I think your brain fires up. And then some days like social media thing, I want to post on social media daily, but then find myself it's been a week since I've posted anything, and then I'll go to the gym, do a hard session, then you just feel like it. So I think exercise and health sparks that in you.
The best version of you is still ahead. I think you wrote that as well.
Did I write that?
I reckon you did.
I've written some. I've probably stolen a lot of this stuff, but
so you still have up and down days then?
Yeah, 100%. Like even yesterday, I think I was going to have a nap on the couch. I was like, I can't be bothered doing this. I pushed off a phone call. Hey, can we talk tomorrow? And then it was like, oh, hang on, stop this. And then so you still have the up and down days, weeks, but I think
weeks.
Yeah, like I've had a bit of a low week this week, and haven't felt like doing much, and business wise and fitness wise. But I think that's when I think you show your character and still do your fitness, still go to the gym. I promised myself I'd go to the gym today, and it was like 4:00. I was meeting you at 5:30. So I said to my housemate, I said, I got to go. He goes, what now? I said, yeah, I've got to go. I promised myself I was going to go. So just getting that done mentally, you feel good about yourself, because I think you can bullshit everyone else, but you can't bullshit yourself. If you say you're going to do something in your own head, you've got to get it done. And then I felt great.
How important setting promises to yourself?
Very important. So like even I've mentioned the morning routine, getting through that, it just sets up your day. If you wake up, I'm never perfect. Like some days I'll have, instead of having my lemon drink, I'll have a coffee first. And I was like, oh shit, I haven't gone for my walk. So I've got my set morning routine, which I know if I nail it, I have a better day. But you slip a little bit, and then the next day you slip, and it's like, it's important to have something set.
Do you drink much?
Not a lot these days. I might have once a month, once every 2 months. I might have a drink.
I was going to say, is that that must. It sounds like I said before, you're very self-aware of the things that sort of potentially make you feel worse, and you at least you would actively try and avoid them. I stopped drinking 2 years ago.
Oh,
yeah, I haven't drunk for 2 years, and I'm not but I am very much like you.
Yeah.
In the obsessive sense, incredibly obsessive, and I couldn't enjoy drinks in small quantities, so I just said that's it. Yeah.
No, I think that's where I'm at now. I know if I have a drink, I go hard. Really? I think we saw daylight on Sunday. We drank all night, and we're on the espresso martinis, and we had a great time. I was oh shit, it's bloody daylight. We've got to get to bed, and you pay the price. So I know like if you don't put yourselves in those certain situations, you're going to feel a lot better. Yeah. But sometimes I've thought about going cold turkey a few times, like in the last 6 months, but things keep popping up. But well done on 2 years.
That's a big night.
Yeah, it's a big night.
That's a big night.
It was a big night.
Are they like? Is the down from that like pretty rough or?
Yeah.
You okay.
Like Sunday, I think I slept all day Sunday, and then Monday I had a few meetings. I was I'll push them off. Still drag my ass to the gym and have a cold shower and stuff, but it throws your whole week. It throws your whole week off. So you see a lot of the celebs now being off, getting off the alcohol. So there's definitely something in it.
I saw you say if you're struggling, it's always better to ask for help. If you are flying, it's always drag. It's always drag along people with you.
Yeah, well, I suppose asking for help, as I mentioned, was something I needed to do. But now I'm feeling good. It's good to drag people along, and obviously with the social media and trying to inspire people and with the talk. So I've been catching up with Jackie Stephen lately. We've been sort of piggybacking off each other. Let's go to the gym, and it's great sort of teaming up with other people that are sort of on the same journey. And we visited Sammy Fisher last week. He's in jail. So it's hopefully when he gets out of jail, we can team up and all look after each other.
Do you see yourself as an inspiration?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. Like I've inspired a few people, but I won't say I'm an inspiration.
Why's that?
I don't know.
Don't feel like an inspiration?
I don't know.
It's a hard question to answer, I know, but I mean, there's not many people that have gone through what you've gone through and still have such a powerful message to tell.
Yeah, I suppose I've definitely inspired some people, like just hearing from people. But when I hear some of these other stories, which I know you probably shouldn't compare yourself to other stories, but I mentioned earlier the people that I've met on the weekend, that homelessness addiction for 20 years. I'm just thinking my story doesn't stack up, but my story is my story, and I was at that low where I was pretty close to thinking I don't even want to wake up. And I remember taking sleeping tablets one night. I think I took like 4 or 5 pretty serious sleeping tablets, and didn't really. Then I woke up the next day and I was like, oh, shit, take another sleeping tablet. Halfway through the day. So it was my story. My story might not be as bad as others, but people take things in different ways. So
have you told that before?
Don't think so.
Yeah,
I may have told people, but yeah.
Powerful message, man. I can tell this conversation's been pretty hard for you, so I appreciate you hanging in there, mate.
Hanging in there. I got grit.
Yeah. Do you smile looking at yourself now?
As I said, I've got a bit of pride now. Like I got to the point a couple of years ago looking in the mirror, and I lost my physique, and I was just shit. I just looked back to the footy days, and I used to take pride in that, and I just thought, where I am today, I sort of think, shit, even if I have a bad week or a bad day, I'm a lot better than where I was 2 years ago. So, I suppose I look at myself and probably don't smile, but, I think, have a bit of pride.
Is that hard to develop? Because I've had so many people in my life, especially now, and they say, you're doing such a good job. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's weird because you have you don't sort of know the impact you've got because not many people will message you on social media, oh, well done, you're doing a great job, like your friends and your family. But when you go back home, it's like, oh, I've seen your stuff. It's amazing. You sort of forget that people are sort of watching behind the scenes, I suppose, and you'd be probably copying it just as much. So it is a good feeling. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time today, mate.
Pleasure.
It's been an amazing chat. There's a few more things, but I reckon I don't want to go too deep. I don't want to go too deep.
Oh, there's a few other things you want to do.
Yeah, I reckon, mate, I could probably sit here all night and pick your brain, to be honest.
We can do a take 2. We can do a episode 2.
We'll do another one. Yeah. I found something when I was going through your Instagram that I just want to end it with. And I know you've spoken about Shane a lot during this conversation, but I thought it'd be a good way to potentially end it and bring up some good memories of the great man. So I'm going to read it out. Shane's manager told me a story of one little boy who had seen his dad and family perish right before his eyes over a decade ago in the Black Saturday bushfires in 2009. As you could imagine, the boy was in total shock. Relatives say he hadn't even cried due to the shock. Shane flew out to see the family after finding out the boy was a fan of his. When this little guy saw his hero, Shane Warne, the little boy burst into tears. Shane has personally mentored this little boy and his family and stayed in touch until this day. Well done on everything, and thanks for all the things you do behind the scenes, mate. They don't go unnoticed.
Yeah, because I think a lot of his charities, they went sort of unseen, and his charity got investigated, and I remember him crying we had a big hug one day, and it's like, so yeah, there's a lot of things that he did like that didn't get media attention. Media sort of liked the party and the sad or the bad stuff that he did, but he did so much stuff like that it sort of went unnoticed. So yeah, thanks for reading that out.
Of course, mate. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it a lot.
Thanks, bro. Woo! All right.
Powerful, man.
We did that? We did all right.
Powerful.
Was it good?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for the, I know I went.
No, mate, I expected all that.
Pardon?
I expected all that.
Really?
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not
okay.
all of it, but
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah. Like I said, there were times I just had to pull away because I know. I knew it was getting hard.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Thank you, mate.
We nailed it.
That was good.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.